From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Wakers, pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanest Nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in disguise. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every clue and every pastor, every act of 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan out as crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the largest to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is, and you are Under the Groove. Welcome, everybody. This is Under the Groove Podcast. Here I am, and there you are. Let's get it in. It's Thursday. We've made it. It's a good look, considering everything that's going on and all the possibilities. We all right. So far, so good. So far, so good. I'm fortunate to be here. I gotta say, as always, I love the fact that I could, get up when I get up, man, and I'm functioning. You know what I mean? And go out throughout the day just functioning. That's good look. That's good look, and that's one of those blessings. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm glad to be here, and you should be as well. Got a lot lined up, a lot of shit going on, and I know most of you know what's going on in the world, well, in the country especially. In the country especially, and with everything going on, it just surprises me how a lot of us just we don't get it. We don't get it. We're so caught up and indoctrinated with everything we've been indoctrinated with to keep us caught up that we can't see the forest for the trees. That's some real shit, and I think it's sad. It's dangerous. It doesn't serve you, let alone anyone else or anyone else we profess or claim to love. This shit is all bad. That's the truth, man. It's all bad. But we have to keep not a happy face, man, but a sharp mind on the situation so that, if it comes down to it, we'll know how to think, at a moment's notice or in a moment's notice, But I think part of that, or part of being able to do that, is to always stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready. Prepare, y'all, because I'm telling you, it's going to be tantamount, imperative that we prepare. And we can't say, "Oh, we don't know what we're preparing for." Yeah, we do. We see what's going on in the world. That right there is an indication that we all need to be preparing. So that's a good look, man. If you're doing that, I got some shit lined up. Been checking out a lot of stuff today. More importantly, though, I've been watching this situation in Mississippi. This is crazy work. This is crazy work going down. These white cops try to gun down 2 sisters and a baby. Well, they killed the baby, sadly. A 1-year-old boy. Presumably over some Pampers that were paid for. Just crazy work, man. I want to send mine, man, my energy, my thoughts out to all those brothers and sisters and the children in Mississippi. It looked like it's going to go up out there. And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking we're seeing these catalysts, man. We're seeing these issues, circumstances, situations taking place that are tipping points, that are tipping points. Now, by the same token, for those of us who see what's happening, we understanding what, it could lead to, the consequences, know that there are others who are thinking the same way. They're prepared. They're ready. They are ready, and just to be, I think, up front, a lot of them want it, like a lot of us want it. Let's get it out the way, Let's get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way. Yeah, that's some sad stuff, man. And the sister's a young sister, man. You could tell she's young. To lose her son like that. But luckily, she wasn't also, unalive. The auntie was hit a couple of times. The lie was, in terms of why they opened up on him, was because the car had became a weapon. But video, and in terms of the diameter, the entrance holes from the bullets, told a whole different story. They're all from the side of the car. One at the passenger window, and then the rest all from the side. So I don't see how anyone. Well, let me be quiet, because they could justify. They'll make some shit up. That's what they do. And it seems that, from what I understand, that's what they're attempting to do, to justify when there's no justification for it and of it. This shit is wicked, y'all. I see you, B60, man, front and center. Peace and prosperity to you, bro. Good to see you up in here, man. Greetings, salutations to you, bub, and the RGC Black First, y'all. This is very relevant. Excuse me. Black First. Very relevant. I'm going to start with some clips. Because like I said, I think this shit is it's imperative. It's imperative, man, that we get a comprehension of what the hell is really, really going on. And I repeat, most of what is happening, I think, could be considered as tipping points, springboards, a catalyst to change. Now, a lot of us, we want change to come, in a certain way, a particular kind of way. Everybody don't want it to happen like others want it to happen. Some say, stop playing. It's time to stop playing. And others are still on that, hey, man, we can work it out. Just let's separate, and let's, there's a whole lot to that. But something's going to happen, man. That's all I could say. Something is about to happen, and it ain't going to be good for nobody. But it's needed, I think. Excuse me. I think it's necessary. Queen Nzinga's in the house. She say happy. Today's Thursday. Oh, happy Friday Eve. Excuse me. Peace and blessings to the kings and queens in the RGC. Right back to you. Peace and prosperity, sister. Good to see you up in here. We got Lisa Moore, Brother Bud. Blessings to you and the family. Peace and love to the kings and queens in the RGC. B1 is, and it does mean Black First. I got a feeling we're going to find out soon enough if that's true. Soon enough. I have a feeling. I've been almost right. Well, I've been right on a lot of my predictions and calls, So it ain't nothing to grin about. I'm not laughing about it. I'm just, hey, man. And wrapping my mind around and saying, all right, if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to be. But it is going down. I want to drop these clips right quick. I got a few, so I might well get started now, because y'all know we get to showing these clips and we got something to say about them. We'll spend 30 minutes on one clip, and that's okay too. All right, here's the first one. I would kind of wish the numbers was up before I started this clip, but that's okay. For brothers and sisters that don't get a bar of it, we always say at the end of the show, or we say, during the show, whatever, check out the repost that YouTube does for us after the live. It's available. Get a bar of it. So that being said, let me go on and jump in here because I think I don't know how long I'll be tonight, but I think it's wise to go on and get it out the way right now. Get on it now. So here's the first clip. And this is coming from one of our sisters, one of our queens, man. And this is what she's saying. And I support this message wholeheartedly.
And you guys may not want to actually physically fight, which is totally fine, but you guys need to be mentally prepared for what is coming. We need to be extracting our resources from the system. We need to stop working. We need to stop spending money, stop being consumers, okay? You guys need to get out of the mindset that this is a game because this is real life and real implications are coming if you do not wake the fuck up. I said, leave America. A lot of you guys didn't want to do that. A lot of you guys were like, no, we need to stay and fight. Okay, stay and fight. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Are you going to take to the streets with your pitchforks and your guns? Because that's not going to really do anything. Violence is just going to give them a reason to retaliate. And we already know that they can drop bombs because they did it to Tulsa. And there's so many more massacres that have happened. So instead, we need to fight where it's really going to hurt them. Their money. We need to extract our money from the system. We need to stop spending money with them. Meaning, stop going to Target. Stop going to fucking Walmart. Stop spending money at McDonald's. These big corporations. Stop paying your phone bill. Oh, my phone's going to be off. So what? Use Wi-Fi. Get a hotspot. I have extracted my resources from this system this whole time, maybe like 2-3 years now. Now I have to do the bare minimum to survive. I pay my light bill. I pay my water bill so my kids can be okay. But y'all need to be thinking about living the very bare minimum. Okay. No subscriptions, no Netflix, no, nothing, no Apple Music. Y'all need to stop being consumers because being a consumer and living in your comfort is literally our downfall. That is what's keeping us here. We need to start thinking about extracting our resources. We need to start thinking about building something outside of the system so we don't have to depend on the government. We need to stop going to work and start building, start growing our own food. They're in charge of the food that we eat. They can cut our water off. They can cut our power off. They can do whatever it is they want to do. And we won't be able to communicate with each other. So we need to start thinking of ways to get in touch with each other without their internet. Like these are the type of things we need to start thinking about. And I know it's like, oh, we're going back into the Stone Age. So fucking what? Technology is the ruler right now. They are ruling our lives by technology. And we need to extract our resources and start building something outside of that we can really depend on. Something built by us, for us, that they can't take away. It is our turn to fight. And you guys may not want to actually physically fight, which is totally fine. But you guys need to be mentally prepared.
Okay, we played that. I found that interesting for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons was that we've said this before, it's been said before on this platform, this channel at least, that, hey, we're in a situation where we don't realize that by being in this situation, all we're doing is feeding the beast. And the more you feed the beast, the hungrier it gets, it's just facts, the beast don't have a cutoff. The beast develops an insatiable appetite. That's what it does. The more you feed it, the more it wants, the more it wants, the more you feed it. Our problem is, like she's saying, we're consumers to such an extent that we don't even realize the power of our consumerism. That's a problem. So, I support it. Say, okay, yeah, man, you extract whatever finances you got in the system, you're supposed to take it out. I'm pretty sure most people be like, hey man, shit, if I don't work, I can't, shit she was saying. That's what we say. That's what a lot of us say. If I don't have a job, I can't pay my bills. In other words, if I don't work, then I can't continue to support the system. And the system, as a result, would take what I have, would take what it lend me. Because really none of us own anything, and that would include land. Let's not get it twisted, people. We can say all we want. We're going to go get land. We're going to get it up. If they want that, they come take that too. We don't own it, you know, but something is going on in the world. And I'm noticing that more and more of our brothers and sisters are starting to see the light. There's some serious shit happening. I got some more clips. Every clip I got, I'm gonna play in the success in a certain order, because it's telling this, it's augmenting, it's telling a wider story. It's all connected. Put it like that. And it's some deep shit going on. Some real deep shit going on. You know, the problem is we're distracted to such an extent. Again, we're just focused on living every day. You know, we're focused on those things that, you know, the basics. The basics. You know, we get up, we go to work, we do our 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, we come back, we deal with what needs to be dealt with at home. If we got like side hustles, business, we got to put in work in it, you know, and we're doing it all for not necessarily wealth, but to have a certain comfort level, you know, a certain convenience. The whole while, we're not free. You know, we're slaves to the system. That's really all it boils down to. It's just slavery in a different light. It's still slavery though. You know, they don't even got to use the word slavery anymore, but it's still that, you know. Anyway, I got some more clips. I'm gonna run these clips. The sister had a point. Most of us, again, when we get our money, first thing we're doing, we're paying it out. We're paying it out to bills, subscriptions, and, you know, a lot of other stuff that we've been led to believe, led to think that we need in order to survive, or just, you know, have some type of comfort, you know, and that's what it is, man. Fat Rat, I see you up in here, man. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam, bro. Good to see you hanging out again, man. You say peace to you and the RGC, big bud. Appreciate that, bro. Let's jump in on this next clip, man. Crazy work, y'all. I kind of want to run that video one more time. I really do. And I think I will.
For what is coming. We need to be extracting our resources from the system. We need to stop working. We need to stop spending money. Stop being consumers, okay? You guys need to get out of the mindset that this is a game, because this is real life and real implications are coming if you do not wake the fuck up. I said leave America. A lot of you guys didn't want to do that. A lot of you guys were like, no, we need to stay and fight. Okay, stay and fight, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Are you going to take to the streets with your pitchforks and your guns? Because that's not going to really do anything. Violence is just going to give them a reason to retaliate. And we already know that they can drop bombs because they did it to Tulsa. And there's so many more massacres that have happened. So instead, we need to fight where it's really going to hurt them. Their money. We need to extract our money from the system. We need to stop spending money with them. Meaning, stop going to Target. Stop going to fucking Walmart. Stop spending money at McDonald's. These big corporations. Stop paying your phone bill. Oh, my phone's going to be off. So what? Use Wi-Fi. Get a hotspot. I have extracted my resources from this system this whole time, maybe like 2-3 years now. Now I have to do the bare minimum to survive. I pay my light bill. I pay my water bill so my kids can be okay. But y'all need to be thinking about living the very bare minimum. Okay. No subscriptions. No Netflix, no, nothing, no Apple Music. Y'all need to stop being consumers, because being a consumer and living in your comfort is literally our downfall. That is what's keeping us here. We need to start thinking about extracting our resources. We need to start thinking about building something outside of the system so we don't have to depend on the government. We need to stop going to work and start building, start growing our own food. They're in charge of the food that we eat. They can cut our water off. They can cut our power off. They can do whatever it is they want to do. And we won't be able to communicate with each other. So we need to start thinking of ways to get in touch with each other without their internet. Like, these are the type of things we need to start thinking about. And I know it's like, oh, we're going back into the Stone Age. So fucking what? Technology is the ruler right now. They are ruling our lives by technology. And we need to extract our resources and start building something outside of that we can really depend on. Something built by us, for us, that they can't take away. It is our turn.
Yeah. I hear it loud and clear with that one. I hear it loud and clear. Gotta say, I have to say that's something, in, you know, truth to power in a lot of respects. Hey, Queen, I see you. Queen and Zinga say, I think as Black people, we must think intentionally about how we use our money instead of simple consuming. Okay. I've been thinking lately, what's the end game? You know, even when we're talking about putting out of business other demographics who are in our communities that can give a flying flick about any of us, that's a start, right? I get it. That's a springboard to something else. But what are we springboarding into? And then what? And then what's the end game? I think that as long as we consider remaining, connected or plugged into the system, we're going to see this. We're going to see this. I just saw something today where supposedly a lot of brothers and sisters are working on a Black political group. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, but it's still the system. It's still the system. So can you imagine a new political group that's for Blacks trying to get his foot in the door of a white supremacist society and political construct? Declaring independence. Can you imagine that? What could come of that? I'm just saying, there's something to think about, man. All right, here go another one. I'm finding this interesting because it's something about Americans, man. It's something about people in America, and I know what it is. I know what it is. We become too lax. Again, too comfortable. We subscribe to convenience. We have no fight. We have no fight in us. We'll let people do shit to us. And, honestly, seriously speaking, truthfully speaking, that's just not Black people. That's all people. America really, man, its underbelly is soft. It's soft. Especially when it comes to dealing with the issues that exist here. They got it so set up to where we be focused on Iran and China and Russia more than we are our own problems. But that's a conditioning, that's exactly what that is. But listen, we ain't got no fight, man. We don't even understand that the Constitution says you can fight back. Especially when you feel you're not being represented correctly. It's crazy, man. So I got this next clip, man. I'm gonna drop this. Let me read some of these comments right quick. J150 said, man, leave America and run into some of the same shit you experience here. I've been to 4 countries in Africa and they view us as Americans, not African American. You're going to say, J150, the only thing we need is one another. Dr. John Henrik Clark said, Black man, you have no friends. I don't disagree with you at all. All right. And I say, yeah, leave where? For real though, what we gonna go? If we not willing to orchestrate some shit where we create our own right where we are, there's nowhere else to go. Because they're not gonna sit up and write another Belfort letter and pass it, amongst the Western countries and say, here, put all these ninjas over here in an area that's already populated by people that have been there for a few thousand years. They're not going to do that for us like they do the Ashkenazis. That's not going to happen. Oh shit. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So what do we do? How do we go about doing that? So my question was, J150, what's the end game? Okay, we separate ourselves from the beast. We stop feeding the beast. Then what? Then what? I was just telling my wife the other day, I think it was yesterday, as I'm gonna build a generator, I'll be checking that shit out, so I want to do, a small one, see if it actually works. That's random, just natural shit. You know what I mean? Not a generator you got to put gasoline in and all that. Nah, So I'm gonna get at a spin. I'm gonna see. I want to see, if that can actually, if that's viable, and if it is, on a smaller scale, a model, it becomes, and then hey, man, try to build one on a larger scale. You know what I mean? But one thing I know, I can do that. Unplug from the grid in that respect, right? If I do too much and say it out too loud to other people, pass it on, I already know what's next. I already know what's coming next. And again, like I said, man, for a lot of us, we don't really comprehend that we own nothing. We just been given this perception, we've been past this dream that we own shit. And that would include land or a home, the car, our kids, and the fact of the matter is we don't. So I already know how they plan to play their end game. I got a great understanding of that. Yeah, where do we go? And realistically speaking, it's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. I wouldn't advocate leaving either. We are here, So how do we obtain or attain our own space without that being a problem? I think the bigger picture is, even though we're going to say we're pushing B1 Black First, this is going to have to be a concerted effort, I think, with all people, But before you even get there, I want to put the cart before the horse. We have to have our shit together so that, or when that time comes, whoever we have to deal with will understand we have our shit together. We know exactly what it is we want and how we want it, where we want it, and how we want to do it. I'm just saying. But what she said, I get some of what she said. Okay, I know better. It's not gonna really fly like that. Also the fact that you can you can call yourself living by the Second Amendment or whatever, that ain't gonna matter to them. So how do we make this separation? How do we segregate ourselves? That's the big question. I think that's the $1 trillion question. How do we separate or segregate ourselves and still not just survive, but thrive once we do? That's the question, man. All right, Henry, I see you up in here, bro. He said, peace and blessings, family. Peace, brother Bub. Right back to you, Henry. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam, man. Good to see you here. Queen Nzinga say, man, I say we carve out a place right here off the grid and for just us and stay down for one another. Yeah, but where? Back east, here, west, north, south, where? Without them saying, no, this is ours. This belongs to the Republic. The corporation owns all this. Y'all, hey, how do we orchestrate that? That's a question that I think not many of us can answer. Because you have to look at the big picture. It's at their whim. And let's say, for instance, see, and this is how they work. They say, okay, we're going to give you Oregon, but only on the condition that you do business with us and we expect a certain quota or whatever the case may be. Contractual, transactional. Otherwise they're not just going to that ain't how that's going to work. I don't see that. That ain't how they function. They're giving us nothing. They ain't been giving us nothing. And ain't nowhere in the world they will release us and they get nothing from it. You know what I mean? That ain't how they work, man. That ain't how they work. I'm being 100. It not. Lisa said, man, we have nowhere to call home but here. Don't nobody like us. We have to stay firm. I hold it down. We have to stay firm. I hold it down for one another. And that's the truth. We have no friends. We have nowhere else to go. You know, the picture's been painted about us. Now, say what they will, right? They'll say all kind of negative things about us here who've been here, right? And yet, they all know we are creators. You know, and to some of you guys in women's liking, we were created by the best, right? So we come from that mold, you know, and they know this. They know this. So most people don't even, you know, really, if we're not in a subservient role to where we're catering to them and making them richer, making them feel better about themselves because we're doing bad amongst ourselves, right? If that ain't the way it's going, they ain't not trying to do, like, man, y'all must be crazy. They'll say that melanin then went to y'all's head. Of course it has, right? But that's how they'll respond. Like, you mugs are crazy. We're not giving y'all nothing unless there's a caveat, man. There's a prerequisite. I'm telling you, probably already in place on paper. Because they've probably already predicted at some point they're going to break away from us or want to. Not even want, they're going to attempt to do this. How do we deal with that? Where they're going to go? Same questions we ask ourselves. Well, where are we going? Don't nobody love us? Don't nobody want us around? Why? You know? But they've thought that shit out, man. They thought it out to the extent where, you know, that's how they're going to come. And so let's be prepared for that. What we're going to offer them? Let's offer them a desert land, you know, give us Nevada, right? Dry, arid, hot, you know, and still say, we keep Vegas though. we keep Vegas though. Vegas remains ours. It's sovereign to y'all, you know, and our citizens can go there and have a good time, you know. There's some caveat, man. There's going to be some condition should they say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. But with that will be something else attached to that and that and that. So we'll never really be free. And this is why I say, man, it's on us as the melanated people, as the chosen, to orchestrate the revolution. I've said this. We've said this before. One thing about us, when we're in action, people will follow us. Even the naysayers, man, because they'll see what we're doing and they're only looking at it in terms of an advantage. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, we're going to go to where them, you know, and they would. They would. Most would follow us, even their kind. You know, it's a lot of their kind understand or overstand what's going on. They know they're just as doomed as anybody else. We're doomed under the boot, under the heel of their boot. We're doomed regardless. As long as we're under their boot or under their thumb, they got us in a stranglehold, whatever, we are doomed. Most people, whether they admit it or not, they look to us for leadership and guidance. Say what they will, man. They're just responding and acting on what they've been taught. But I think inherently, inside them, they know that we are the answer. We know we're the answer. Those that run everything know we are the answer. But that being said, you know, easier said than done, right? But, you know, we have to understand that, yeah, we can't continue like this because there'll be no future, even for our children's children. There'll be no future, man. And trust and know, based upon what the plans they have, it's going to get worse. Things we took for granted, they're not going to have, but they're going to put shit in front of them to give them this semblance of freedom. You know, have them all walking around with goggles on and shit, you know, living in fantasies, you know, incubating people, You know, going into the homes once they incubated, plugging them up, man, with, you know, all kind of cords and shit, you know, draining them or whatever the case may be. They're not going to have it any better than us. And as parents, especially those of us supposed to know better, we have to know better. Man, we can get all the grains and land we want to get. All the artillery, munitions, all that. Train, everything. Fact of the matter is, man, none of that is going to matter unless the people rise as one together. And, you know, do what the Constitution says. You know, and once that happened, then we say to everybody else, okay, you guys, job well done. We're going to take this spot right here. You know, we're going to be very fair. We're going to take this spot right here. Otherwise, man, we're going to be stuck in this shit. Trust. I mean, we're going to be stuck in this shit. All right. Queen Nzinga say, listen, well, we have to figure that out, but I ain't moving to Africa to find out the same shit. Point taken, right? Point taken. I hear you. I hear you. You know, and yeah, let them tell. They might try to move us to Alaska. Matter of fact, I mean, shit, you know, like, you know, shit get bad, and they'll compromise. Yeah, well, y'all take Alaska, you know, but we still get some of the fishing lanes, and it's always gonna be a catch, you know. Yeah, I hear you though, sister. You're going to say, man, if we want real freedom, we must become more self-reliant, build skills, own assets, support our communities, grow our own resources where possible, and reduce dependence or dependency on systems that don't serve us. But here's the, listen, and I get it. I'm all for, I hear you loud and clear, but here's the thing. When you say we need to become more self-reliant, we have to accept that there are so many things in play that gaining self-reliance, you'd have to jump through so many hoops and loops, you know, so much be put in front of us where it would make it damn near impossible. You know what I mean? Again, we could talk about owning assets all we want, but the way the system is rigged, the way it's wired, nothing we call owning belongs to us. Nothing. So, you know, in a way that's, you know, it don't matter. You know, we can support our community. We can grow our own shit. And while we doing all this, think about all the sabotage and all this other shit they do, you know, to destabilize. We watch what they've done over the decades to Cuba. That was intentional. And then they blamed it on Cuba, that whole predicament. That don't just go for Cuba. Look at these African countries that are super rich with resources that can, those countries should be like, man, just palaces everywhere, you know? But they create destabilization in those regions, in those countries in Africa, to where they can't even develop. It's wherever minorities are that they exercise these you know, that playbook. It's just, you know, that's a fact. It's a fact. And if you don't play ball with them, yeah, okay, shut you down. You know, and if you play semi-ball with them, they'll let you get a little bit, you know, let you have elections, let you, you know, that's just how they play, man. That's how they play the game. So we can call ourselves owning whatever the hell we think we own. We can grow whatever the hell we think we're going to grow. It won't be nothing for them to, you know, put them chemtrails over us, man, and poison our crops or whatever. And I'm not putting this out there and giving them ideas. These are ideas they already have. They've done this to other people. They've done it to their own here in the country. And that's why I say, man, the only way out of this is through a change, you know, a revolution. because you're not really going against the government. You're really going against corporations, businesses. It's really what you're going against. And I got something for y'all. This was just discovered. You know, we have some of you may know about Bilderberg and others, you know, other organizations, so-called secret societies and, you know, groups and, you know, things like that, right? There's a new one. There's an absolute new one. And it contains Republicans and Democrats, Black, Hispanic, white, Jew, whatever. And they all work for the big corporations, period, point blank. Most of us don't even see that. Most of us actually think the government run everything, but it really doesn't. You know, what we call a government is a corporation, you know, that's ran by other corporations, you know, that's partnered with other corporations. Real shit. But, you know, there that is, man. You know, you ain't got to take my word for it. All we got to do is start researching. Fat Rat said, listen, man, the aim of COINTELPRO was to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. The questions are, what is a Black Messiah? That's 1. 2, what does a Black Messiah establish? And 3, were they successful? So again, we talked about this briefly in terms of how they see shit. And you spot on, Fat Rat. But I think also that they don't look for one. They look for many, you know. Give you an example why they would. Because, and, you know, you guys may take to it or not. What you see in the Sahel, the AES, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, those are 3 messiahs, so to speak, 3 lions. Each one has a designation, a job to do, and they're doing it. In spite of everything being thrown at them. You know, we don't even know the half of it, right? But my point is, they have plans for that too. You know, they know it would more than likely be more than one. And I think that would be wise. You know, I think that it's always wise to set up a hierarchy, you know, a system where, you know, we have leaders, not lords, you know, not kings, shit like that, but leaders who are accountable to the people, you know, to the community, you know, to sovereignty, to freedom. That's what you got over there. So my point is, yeah, they'll say, okay, who is the Black Messiah? And I say, man, it ain't who is he, who are they? I think it's more than one. I think it has always been more than one. It's just that we, again, have been indoctrinated so thoroughly that we don't even know how to bring our power together to have what we call Black power. See, our power always has to be singular. And under these circumstances, that's not going to fly. In terms of those who will represent us and lead us well, it has to be plural. You know, there has to be many, and each one knows something, you know, that they're supposed to do specifically, and then have lines. And, you know, that's just my take on it, man. You know, but yeah, no doubt COINTELPRO's aim is to make sure the Black Messiah does not rise up or, you know, come and save the people. I say, man, they know it. They got their eyes open, man. They're aware that it's going to be more than one. You know, and this is why you see them in every aspect, or, you know, in every, you know, environment, community, you know, where our people are. This is why we see what takes place in our communities. It's to weaken those messiahs, you know, those leaders, man, so that no one be prepared. Not no one, but any of us will not be prepared to lead and lead correctly. I think that's the game plan. I hope I make sense in that respect. But your point is taken, and you know how that shit go. They got one worse than COINTELPRO. You know, put them to shame. You know, put them to shame. We have foreign agencies here working against us. Foreign, they are here. Make no mistake about it. You know, they've been here. They've been here a couple of decades at least. At the very least, they've been here 20 years. I say longer than that, but they are here. Anyway, Lisa Moore said, you're right, Queen. But I think first we need to learn how to love and respect one another. Then once we got that down pat, then we can move forward on building up our communities. Yeah, we got to get to this point, y'all. Yeah, that's first. I agree that we got to learn to love ourselves. We love each other. We got to get to that point. Queen said, man, by becoming self-reliant, I mean developing the ability to meet more of our own needs rather than depending heavily on others or institutions. And I got it. I got that part, but I was still saying, I think, see, again, in any respect, if even again, if you fell off the grid, they have moves, man. They have moves to upset any cart, to derail, destabilize, shut down. I'm just speaking, I'm speaking in terms of how they gonna get on with us. And not being pessimistic, that's being, understanding, comprehending that their objective, and this is their objective, make no mistake about it, is to make sure that we're never free. That's their objective. Their system depends on us to be in it, a part of it. That system, capitalism. They fed a lot of us democracy. I mean, I'm telling you, democracy is just a mask. It's masking capitalism. That's the system. That's it. That's all. And there's no way on this green earth they're going to see us free, and especially out of that system that we help to feed. Like I say, we feed the beast, and the beast, it gets hungrier and hungrier by the decade. Nowhere in the world, in a minute, AI and all that other shit is going to need melanin to make it function. That's how far they thinking. Using human life sources, life force to run machines and shit. That's how they thinking. In my opinion, my humble opinion. Yeah. All right. Appreciate them comments though, everybody. All right. And Queen said, wait a minute, who was that? Yeah, Queen said, okay, yeah, you right, my sister, we do. Chris, what it do, man? Peace and prosperity, bro. You say yes to sabotaging. We are underestimating the whites and how deadly he is. I'm telling y'all, we could grow. I don't care what kind of crop you growing. They have a insecticide, a pesticide, something that kills foliage and everything else, man. They got, they use drones now, and they'll use drones, fly over your shit and spray it. They ain't got to be a mile up or 2 miles up hitting us with chemtrails. Nah, they don't want something to grow. They know how to deforest and, kill the greenery on anything. On anything. They drop napalm, Agent Orange, whatever the fuck they want. Again, if we're talking about separating from these people, we have to know what the consequences are. We have to be ready and prepared. We have to know how to anticipate, or we have to get to the point where we can anticipate what they are doing or what they will do. So that's like saying, okay, we have botanists, we have those who understand chemicals, natural chemicals, especially, that can fight against this shit. The same way they go to a seed and restructure that seed to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. We have that same capacity, that same ability, that same knowledge to go and create our seeds to where they're still natural, but they have a defense from whatever we think they might drop or what we learned that could kill our crops. It's in that seed. They have this same shit, man. They have it for their corn. They have it for all the pest resistant, chemical resistant. They got the shit, man. Come on, huh? I'm just saying we have to prepare. But don't take for granted or think for a minute they're not going to try to derail anything we do, especially if it involves us separating from them. Man, they brought us back in this shit for a reason. You know, again, we say this, we have this conversation. They segregate us, mistakenly segregated us for the wrong reasons. They said, wait a minute, when we didn't got to segregate them and still hate them and lynch them, and we can still integrate these people and still lynch them and still kill them. But we'll have them working for us, building our shit rather than watching them build their shit, separating themselves from us, advancing. Oh, man, this shit is just, I'm telling you. I'm just saying. Chris said yes to sabotaging. Are we underestimating the white and how deadly he is? With that snap of a finger, the white man can wipe out a whole nation. They've been at this shit for a long time. They got practice in this shit. They tested their bombs, man. They made sure them bombs really work. And it's the coldest thing that they would test this bomb on them people, and them people be buddy-buddy with them people to this day. Man, if that ain't shit, what is that? What do they call that? That's that Stockholm or whatever syndrome. I think it's deeper than that. But if they could do that to them people, testing weaponry, and turn around and make them people submit to this day, hey man, that let you know these some devious, nefarious ass people. So I'm just saying, you know, we thinking about, okay, all these things we're talking about, we have to have our shit in order, man. We got to, that's work. That's work that a lot of us probably are not willing to participate in, especially when talking about freedom in the realest sense. See, freedom is not, you can't be free but still under the thumb or the heel of the power that you're supposed to, you know, eradicated, you freed yourself from. It just don't, it don't work like that. Where you still, even when you say we aren't, we're thinking, okay, we're having our own this, our own that. We don't have forests. We don't have quarries. We don't have docks and shit where ships can dock and come. We don't have none of that. That shit's not owned by no black person in the United States. Nowhere on any coast. I'm just saying. We don't have C-117s to airdrop us shit. If they wanted to starve us tomorrow, man, they could. They could. So when we're talking about freedom, we have to know to what extent we're willing to go to get it, and what extent they're willing to go to stop us from having it. Come on, man. We talk about what they did, man, in Tulsa and all those other places. The ones that didn't bomb or couldn't bomb, they flooded. Got whole cities, black communities underwater. Come on, man. You know, I'm just saying. That's the reality. That's the reality. It's not as simple as we all, even as I think it. Any of us, Because again, man, they've sat up and they've been doing this, man, for decades, man. I got this new one. I want to show it to y'all, man. This is what they doing. So the last thing we were stuck on, most of us know about it, 2025, right? Most of us don't know about 2030, which is being put in effect 3-4 years early. We don't even know about 2030. But we know it exists. When people would talk about 2025, a lot of people like, what the fuck you talking about? I don't know what no damn 2025 is, but we heard about it. And we see the effects of it. Can't deny that. They're talking about 2030. And this is just 2026. 2030 is already in effect. Where's our plans? You know, how do we go about really dealing with this? This is not a cakewalk. This is not something, man, we can go to sleep and dream about, man, and it'd be all good in the dream, man. This is a real live, eyes wide open nightmare that is occurring with us. We in the shit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I've ever been saying. You know, I be on my own head a lot of times because, damn, man, wasted a lot of time, man. You know, did a lot of shit that just right now I'm thinking about made no sense whatsoever. Participated in shit, man, that it makes no sense, man. We were using our minds for bullshit, to harm one another, to take from one another, you know, to sell one another, you know. Imagine that, man. Millions of brothers who's in the same boat and sisters. I'm just saying, man, they very thorough. They're very thorough. So I'm saying, man, we have to be very thorough. We can't be bullshitting. This shit we on now about, okay, our dollars. We have to realize, though, why that may seem like be a good thing, our dollars still cater to a system that does us harm. So we're putting our dollars right back into this system. I don't care if it's 20 days later, 30 days later, it still goes back into the system. Those banks, you know, that allow certain hedge funds to hook up with certain corporations, AI, tech, whatever, to help them to continue to create this bullshit we in. We're still catering to the get out. That's all I've ever said, you know. That much I recognize. Now, when it comes down to, okay, how do we do this? Hey, man, we're going to have to get some minds together that we can trust. Start acting. There's so many of us we can't even trust. That's how thorough they are. This shit is layered, man. This shit layered, you know? And ooh, crazy work, man. Crazy work. That's what I say now. Nowadays, I say crazy work. Lisa Moore said, Queen and Zinga, you hit it right on the nose, sister. It's so much disrespect out there when it comes to us destroying the Black community because of the lack of love and respect, rob and killing and stealing. Lisa going to say, hey, Chris, the white man is very deadly. He killed in his sleep with his eyes closed. He be sleeping and it be going down. That's how thorough they are. And you have to admit that. I don't admire it, you know. I see it for what it is. But damn. How do we deal with that? In the mugs, we think running everything ain't running shit. Tell you the truth, they do what the fuck they told. I don't care how I look on the outside. On the surface, they do what the fuck they're told. You know, whole bloodlines come up missing if they don't. Whole bloodlines, you know. Just saying. The people that really run everything, you don't see them. You hear their names, but you don't see them people. You know, you don't see them people. And then not only that, but the oldest of them, they don't partake in, you know, going to these islands and shit like that. Nah, man, they got that shit on their grounds. They got that shit 10 feet, 10 stories underneath they shit. They got whole slave chattels and quarters and shit. So you never see them people rubbing elbows with the people we seeing caught up in this shit, you know, all the shit they doing. Nah. What we see is these other people, especially the ones who are building these vast sums of money. Yeah, they're doing it, but they're doing it for a reason. They're going to make sure that 100 years from now, it'll be considered somewhat old money. And they'll be in that space where they can dictate shit, how people live, who dies, who eats, who starves, who's replaced, you know, shit like that. That's you know, that's what this shit about. And if we don't see that, man, that look, we're going to be wasting our time. We're going to be wasting our time. Fat Rat said, man, the greatest asset black people have is our unity. Imagine all them minds coming together. And we've said this on this Get Down before. There's no stronger mind on the face of the planet. I mean, come on, man. There's no stronger mind on the face of the planet. But I'm saying what Fat Rat is saying. Imagine all those minds coming together. You know, we talking about shit, man, cell phones, Wi-Fi, street lights, elevators. Man, we finna not, that's child's play. We get it together. Those who are old money and run the world would cease to exist. Because I'm telling you, and y'all know this, once our minds come together, there ain't nothing they can do. All them black minds, I was just saying, we'll have a remedy and a solution for everything. We'd be so preemptive, man, like, God damn, they'd be like, oh shit. They won't even be able to hit the button in time. That's what I say. But that's the thing, Fat Rat. That's what I think that's the struggle. That's the real fight, bro. It's been said on this Get Down before. That's the real fight. That's the real one right there, man. Us getting it together, coming together, unifying. Us doing that. They're going to have their popcorn, man. They're going to be sitting back and betting. That's going to be their entertainment for real, you know? Because that's going to be some epic shit, man. That would be more epic than us, you know, getting freedom in the realest sense. That battle amongst ourselves, that story will be told longer than any other, I think. That's unheard of. For thousands of years, we ain't been together. So, you know, Fat Rat going to say, look, man, the greatest asset black people have is our unity. Our unity is more powerful than a hydrogen bomb. One mind, one voice, one mind, one voice, one aim. When we are fractionalized, we are not whole, therefore ineffective. So the fear of a black Messiah centers on one man who is divine, thus possessing the characteristics of the God whom calls us out of our death-like state into a conscious life and unites us under one aim, one purpose. Thus, the work of Messiah is called resurrection. Okay, you stop there. Now, and again, now we're talking about unifying. How's this choice made? You know, who makes it? You know, what, you know, who makes it? What religion, what faith, what God decides? Because everybody's not on the same page. And again, when I say, man, the greatest fight we're going to have will be with ourselves, trying to determine what's what, who's who, and why is the why, you know? That's the truth. You know, if we all have the God gene, you know, if God is already in all of us, then what are we waiting on a Messiah for? If we're made in that likeness, if our DNA is what they say it is, if our melanin is what they say it is, then aren't we that? And if so, why are we waiting for one Messiah when there are many of us? I'm curious. I need to know this, you know, because if we're talking about what scripture said, then yeah, again, that might not jive with everybody who may be more conscious and spiritual and have a different understanding, a connection to spirituality and where we're supposed to come from. I'm just saying. These are the things we're going to have to face, man, as a people. That's one of the issues. And I think that's the main issue, other than a lot of other shit after that. But that's going to be one of them issues, man, that's going to create a problem in terms of unifying. How's this going to work? You know? Some are saying, hey, wait a minute. Before that scripture, that prophecy, there was this before that, and that came from this. What about that? Do we consider that? Do we disregard that because this is later? You know, I mean, there's just so much, man. While at the same time, we know we are confronted with these demons, these devils. They are at work. Well, we're still back and forth trying to determine who, you know, who's going to lead. I don't know, man. Crazy work, man. Crazy work. Crazy work. Lisa Moore said, once we love and respect each other and build up our community, too strong to destroy. Is there more, Lisa? Okay, once we start loving and respecting each other and building up our communities, we will be too strong to tear apart. That's why they're scared of us. Of course, they're not going to be, you know, but that depends on who's saying it and why they're saying the fear would exist with them. You know, again, to some of them, it might be one Messiah that they would fear. But I tend to think that it's the fear. It's just the fear of the Black planet, the fear of Black women and men unifying. They can't defeat that, you know. And again, I don't subscribe to a whole lot of shit, but hey, man, something internally tells me something going on. That much I'm aware of. All right. And it's to our benefit. A lot of sacrifice gonna have to be made, but it's to our benefit. You know, and I don't think it has anything to do with what most of us want to consider or establish, put in place, follow. You know, if the notion is that God is not up there, but rather in us, then what does that make us? Sons and daughters of the Creator, you know, the Messiahs. Hey man, this is how we get this shit done. And I think if we accept that, this is how we unify. This is how we'll unify. Recognizing that in each and every one of us, the God gene exists. All right. And that's not to say we all, you know, we have 42 million, you know, people calling shots and all. No, man, I don't think it works like that, you know. And I hope no one thought I was saying that, you know. But no, man, I think there's a lot to this shit, man, that we have to consider just to get to the point where we'll be able to combat what we need to combat after we deal with those more pressing issues that exist amongst us. That's just what I think, you know. You know. So Chris say, listen, man. All right, Chris. All right, this is why for the most part, we don't live side by side with them. They can poison our water. True, they can do a whole lot of shit. The white man has laser beam technology right now, you know. Lisa Moore said, once we start loving and respecting each other, okay, I did read that, and building up our communities, we will be too strong to tear apart. That's why they're scared of us too. True that. Chris said, we haven't seen the stuff they're working with. True that. I was in a prison. I used to get subscriptions to National Geographic and other magazines, right? Science Now, all that shit, right? And I recall one edition where they were working on invisibility, using cloaks, invisibility cloaks. And I was like, what the fuck? Maybe a month or two later, I'm watching PBS. That same experiment or device they were trying to create, which was, you know, it wasn't to turn the person invisible physically. It was, not an apparatus, but it was like a cape type thing. You know what I mean? I don't know how they infused the shit, how they changed the molecules or whatever it was, you know. And I'm not, I mean, invisible, not a cloaking, you know, but still invisibility or invisible. And there's another one they use. Oh, it'll come to me. But this was like, man, in I think 2001, 2002, maybe, when I read that, and then I seen it, you know, sometime later, a few months later. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, where they had shit where they were working with shit that resisted gravity, man. It resisted gravity. And there was no propulsion on it or fuel or anything to keep it up. You know, just a sphere. I don't know what was inside it, but, you know, there was no engines and none of this. And the thing would hover. And they were talking about how they were going to try to get it to move this way and that, but it resisted gravity. I just read the other day, they say, man, gravity is fictitious. It's something they put out there. It's not really that, you know. So I don't know. I got to look into that more often. But they got shit, man, to where they can do some shit if they choose. But the coldest part about what we're talking about in terms of the technology they use, guess who created it? Guess who helped them develop it? Of course. Of course, you know? So, yeah, you know. Chris said, man, the white man has everybody kissing his ring, the Asians and the Indians. Raku, for what it do, bro? You say, Bub, what do you think about this Asian boycott as far as how we should handle it and make it official with demands, etc., to see what will be the end result, or if we want demands at all, or just want to start or replace business. Bottom line, we need to get on top of our objectives for the results solutions in game. Word of the day is deliberation, everybody. So listen, and just, you know, I think like this. See, what we're talking about doing, we're being subjective, right? We're saying the Asians, when in reality, it's all of them. It's all of them. So this shows that there's this sign that we're not fully aware just yet on what the hell we're supposed to be doing, because it's just the Asians. But hey, the Asians ain't the only one doing this to us. Facts. We know this. We know this. Anytime a city employee kills one of us unarmed, why the city don't get shut down? See, we've been subjective. We look, if we're gonna do this shit, you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to send notice. Hey man, we setting a precedent for everybody, and we're cool with it. We don't care what you think. Everybody gets shut down. Everybody gets shut to the fuck down. We're talking about building black businesses, and not on no low level, on a small scale. Hey man, that's almost overnight. In a month, black businesses will be in a position for real to expand. Because if we said, okay, we need the system to get our money right, buy this land, do this, okay. Want to really know how to do that? Don't be subjective on who the fuck you going to boycott when you got everybody around you doing the same motherfucking thing to you. All of them. All of them. All of them. Straight up. That's what I think about that, man. I think we just playing with sticks right now. You know, we just some bullshit, man. That's what I think. I mean, it might work towards something. Yeah. Our people are seeing some changes, some dividends increase. Yeah. And at the same time, we're not going at this thing full throttle. And that, I mean, hey man, if we got to shame our people, we shame them. We pull up with the bullhorns or whatever to pick the signs. You know, but again, what sense did it make, man, just to get them when all of them do it to us? All of them do it to us. Come on, man. Get all of them. Do that to all of them. Straight up. That's what we're supposed to be doing, bro. And we want to see some change. And I don't mean, you know, some real financial change, not only in terms of economics, but politics. You know, that would make heads turn. You know, state media would be on that. Like, oh shit, we thought it was just the Asians. It's everybody. These bum politicians that call themselves our, you know, representatives would come, you know, and then we could tell you got to go. I mean, if we're going to go about this shit, man, we got to understand how, if we go about it right, how one thing leads to another. That's the point I think we missing, man, when it comes to this get out. See, we just seeing, we being real, them only ones, and get all these motherfuckers. All of them shouldn't get $1 from us. Real spit. and know why we're doing it. Now, we love ourselves, and this is motivated by love for ourselves, by, for us, coming into ourselves, we got to have our shit together. One thing leads to another. You pivot off this one onto that one. You pivot off that one onto that one. And it's like taking these steps. I asked a week ago, what are we going to do this for? Why would we do this? Black empowerment, financial stability, buying black. We're helping the people. Okay. For real though, all of them. Every one of them. And it's not malicious. It's not malicious. It's not about being vindictive. It's not in anger. It's done, man, in the knowledge and understanding that this is what we need to do to get our shit together. Because if we're talking about, hey, we're worth $2 trillion at the rate we're going, we're barely, come on, for real. It's supposed to, it's like a dragnet. We get everybody. In other words, we don't spend our money with nobody but us, come what may. That's it. And from that, we do it how we supposed to do it. Our people sacrifice, make them sacrifices. One thing will lead to another, and the shit will become clear to us. It's what they do. Real shit. It's what they do. And I don't see how motherfuckers ain't figured that out. It's what all of them do. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. So Rakufu say, Bub, man, what do you think about this Asian boycott as far as how we should handle it and make it official with demands, etc., to see what will be the end result, or if we want demands at all, or just want to start or replace businesses. Or bottom line, we need to get on top of our objectives for the results, solutions, and end game. That's what I think about it. Everybody should be included in that shit. We want to act like the Asians, in terms of what they're doing to us, is the most egregious shit. And it's not. Technically, it's not. Again, we have police, city workers that work for the mayors that we elect, and all this shit, killing our brothers and sisters, our children, right? We don't boycott the city. We don't say, man, city and county jobs, we not going to work. Fuck that. Every day, them motherfuckers kill our people. Every day. Violate their constitutional rights, beat them, batter them, brutalize them. Every day, disrespect them. Every day. This is nothing new. How the hell the city don't feel the pinch then? Straight up. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. Queen Nzinga said, I agree. We have to unite, but the truth is we stay divided. We can't even put black people first without arguments over religion, skin tone, or what region we're from. That has to change. I'm going to tell you one of the things to do. In my suggestion, I'd suggest one ways of dealing with that specifically. That specifically, Queen Nzinga. The thing to do with all that you just mentioned is to not mention none of that. That cannot become an issue that we know would divide us. Now if people are so, into that, and that's something they can't do, that, hey, more power to you. But if we're talking about uniting, we're not talking about people giving up their religion or, anything like that. We're talking about, hey, man, regardless how dark you are, how light you are, that's not the fucking issue. If you're Muslim, Christian, Judaic, that's not the fucking issue. That's not the issue. If you from wherever the hell you from, that's not the issue. It should be made clear what the issue is, so that we all know what should be our focus, or why we're focusing on the focus, why we need to. I think it, for real. Stop giving a lot of shit attention. If we got this to deal with, then it should be understood. I don't care who you is, what you work, hey man, wait a minute, how? Because it just don't affect us as a people. Those same people affect their religion, it affects everything. The system. It affects everything. Care if you're Christian or Muslim, Judaism, whatever. The system affects it all. Straight up. So what's to get at? We got to stop focusing on bullshit and apply our focus to those issues that mean the most, that's going to get the most done in a short span of time. Again, if we're going to boycott, man, why are we playing with ourselves, man? We're playing with ourselves, man. All these mugs all of them. Let's be 100, man. Let's be 100. Ain't no voting, ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. I'm not voting for you. You letting these people, you ain't passing no Senate bills. You ain't doing it. You not putting the police union under the mic. Y'all don't get nothing. And we not even talking about a boycott. Well, boycotts now, man, fuck that too. We not fucking with y'all. That give us leverage. That gives us leverage. That's us, man, wielding our power. We're flexing our talents. We ain't even bit into them yet. We're just flexing our talents. I think that's the way to go about it, if you ask me. We're going to do this. We need to do this to every one of them that done this. Okay, so the cracker just shoot a 1-year-old boy, man, in Mississippi yesterday. On the 15th, what's today, the 18th? Yeah, I think it was the 16th. It was a 1-year-old boy, man. These cops unloaded on 2 sisters and a 1-year-old boy at Walmart because Walmart thought she was stealing diapers that she paid for. The auntie paid for the diapers for the niece. The niece's son got shot. She see the police about to do some stupid shit. She said, hey, I got a child in this car. They shot anyway. They shot the motherfucker up. Ain't nobody supposed to be doing nothing. Like, okay, man, y'all think we playing. They think we playing. You ain't got to burn Walmart down. Or any of them. But we got to take a stand, man. We got to, at some point, we got to say, okay, enough. The city need us as workers and all this shit. They employed that racist cracker. A few days earlier, he got cited for racism. What the fuck? See, we don't hold their feet to the fire, but they'll do us quick. Matter of fact, they just kill us. They just kill us. 2 days before the shooting, he get checked on racism in the precinct. That's how bold they are. And yet, them brothers that went back to work in the precinct. City council didn't do nothing. Mayor didn't do nothing. You know, they all heard about it, had to. The chief didn't do shit. Now here they are talking about everybody remain calm. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Motherfucker, we already know what the issue is. It's racism. The hell you mean? Unarmed women and a baby, man. And we talking about boycotting just boot heads. Man, we tripping. Now, I love the idea of it, but we tripping. We're wasting a grand opportunity, man, I think, to do what need the fuck to be done. You don't just, we don't go after one of them. All of them guilty of the same shit. And we supposed to be, all of them supposed to be 2 weeks into this shit, understanding they fucked up and they've been fucking up. And not only that, when these Wayopis do this type of shit, nah. That should not be tolerated. That should not be allowed in no form of fashion, man. And that's the mindset we got to get. We got to wake the fuck up. I see you in the comments, Fat Rat. We got to wake up, man. You say again, bub, we have been put to sleep. We are asleep. We are dead. I say we're in a slumber. I don't think we're dead. I'm pretty sure we're not dead, man. But they're trying to kill us. Yeah. You know, the cousin of death is trying to get a hold of us so death can get us. I get it. I don't think we're dead, though. You know, I just don't. I don't just think it. I know in my core we're not. I've been sitting back for the last 9 months, 10 months. My wife is my witness. I've been witnessing shit changes. More and more of our brothers, we not waking up quick enough, right? And the quicker we wake up, well, the more of us wake up, the more shit they throw out there, sprinkle us with to put us back to sleep. Same man at work. That's what they do. We know this. We're not dead, though, bro. We're not dead, man. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Can't kill God, man. Can't kill gods, man. You just can't. You know? And I mean that figuratively, you know what I mean? We know where we come from. Our power is in each of us uniting. That's it. You know? Standing on code, standing on principle. That's our strength, man. They want to talk about black power. That's us, man. One fist. We crush all this shit. There are ways of getting it done. And in some instances, I think you don't have to necessarily be violent. Unless you have to prove a point. Let's just, hey man, we're talking about defending ourselves now. This is what we're talking about, actually. And if a people is not willing to defend themselves by any means, man, then we're dead. But I don't see that. I see the people willing to defend themselves. I'm a firm believer in an eye for an eye. You know, that's me. You're not going to do that to my people and to my family. And that's unacceptable. No man or woman should have to tolerate that, man. Somebody who's supposed to work for you, serve you, work for the establishment, the bureaucracy or whatever that you pay taxes to, kill you or your children. No, man, we on the wrong shit. And we're not dead. We're struggling, man, to come out of this slumber, bro. That's all that is. We're struggling to come out this slumber. We've been put to sleep, lulled to sleep long time ago. Some of us, most of us were born asleep. You know, or we're put to sleep after we're born. You know, they're doing this shit early now. They put the kids to sleep, man, at a year. You know, get the parents to set them in front of, you know, frivol and shit that's gonna not, you know, not expand and create or make that brain everything it's supposed to do, but to diminish it. You know, the shit, the processes, like I said, they start early now, man. They got all kind of games. But yeah, we want to protest. Hey, man, we supposed to be doing that to all of them. And there's nowhere in the world, I don't care if it's in Mississippi or anywhere else in this country, when they kill our people, man, we supposed to stop. We're supposed to stop. And reason why we should, we stop initially to think that could have been mine. That could have been mine, my 1-year-old, my 1-year-old grandson, granddaughter. That could have been mine. Stop to reflect on the seriousness of this shit. That's all I'm saying. You know, I don't care about nothing else. I'm yay. We got to, man. We got to get it together. Rakufa said, deliberation, careful, serious consideration before making a decision. I love being deliberate sometimes. Also, his deliberation revealed wisdom, patience, and strategic judgment. Fat Rat said, man, look, we can't manifest the power of self while asleep, while dead. So a Messiah comes with an awakening, a message so plain and yet potent that the dry bones begin to shake and assemble, then stand up and exceedingly great army. Okay, yeah, prop up a great exceeding army. I just think that, you know, our wake-up calls, our messiahs don't necessarily, just my opinion, bro, you know, I'm just saying, I'm just speaking here, don't have to be personified in the flesh. You know what I mean? I think that that blessing can come through an experience, you know, through a situation, a circumstance. It happens all the time with us individually enough where things occur and it wakes us up. You know, next thing you know, we're on the, you know, and that could be that power at work. Wasn't necessarily in, you know, the Messiah in human form or whatever the case may be. My point is real simple, man. I think that in life, there are circumstances, there are things that take place that happen that become or is the catalyst for the things, you know, or are the catalyst to, or what is that which wakes us up, props us up, you know, propels us into action, you know, gets us up and running. You know what I mean? That's what I think. But, you know, to each his own in terms of, you know, that type of thought process and what in terms of what it's going to take to wake the people up, to stand them up, you know, and assemble this great army. You know, I tend to think different. I tend to think that it, you know, that is has a lot to do with the reflection of the people in terms of how they see what's going on with their lives. And it's all so common. It's all so common, you know. Hello.
Hey, bro.
Hey.
Can you show that? I just said something about the Asian and the black thing, and I asked you a question earlier. I said, let's focus on the focus. Like you be telling us, one fight at a time. What we gonna do with these motherfuckers? That's how I
right.
But check out that video I just said. If you can play a clip of it, I sent it to your phone.
All right, I'll check it out. All right, bro. And that was Ra. Appreciate that, Ra. I'm saying though, And the focus, as far as I'm concerned, my focus has been what it's been since I started. Just wanting to put this in front of us in terms of what we're going through as a people, what we're faced with. It's bigger than a lot of us actually recognize. You know what I mean? We tend to say shit, with not even understanding the full picture of what it is we're talking about. The loved one asked me, okay, what I think about this thing, man, with, this Asian, blackout and, send them packing. My thoughts, on that is just, the straightforward. We supposed to be serving everybody this plate, man. Straight up. Everybody supposed to be getting served this plate. And as a result of that, believe it or not, trust it or not, our people would generate more money. So that process is sped up. The process is sped up, man. And I think also as a result, our minds start to gravitate or, go in the direction, okay, of what's our next step? Let's plan this shit out now. Let's get it together. I think one thing leads to another, but it's also, the old saying, y'all, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. I think that applies right here. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing in terms of saying, okay, you know what, we got to focus on us, Black first now. But, how we're doing it, I think is incorrect. Again, you serve this platter to everybody, man. All of them should get it. All of them. That's just how I see that, and as a result, I'm pretty sure, again, our process, it picks up momentum. And not only does it serve us, it serves notice to others. Like, hey, whoa, shit, we didn't expect that, mayors, they go to the city council, they call in the chief of police and they say, hey, man, not one more. Use a taser. If you don't see a gun, hey, don't pull your gun, use a taser, But we have to we got to be down with this shit, man. Now, Rakufu said he sent me something. I don't know. What time is it, man? Oh, shit, bro. It's kind of late, bro. Okay, I don't know which one. Oh, okay, this one. No. I'm familiar with this brother, Ra. I subscribe to his channel. Asian Americans get a blow after Professor Bolson warns them to stop disrespecting blacks or regret. But all right, well, I'll save these for tomorrow then. And they're pretty good, actually. They're pretty good. One shows what unity does. When the people work, let me show this, man. Let me just show this. Hold on. Let me show this right quick. For context, man, this is Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump's home. They went to Albania and called themselves about to take protected land to build a luxury resort for 1.something billion, right? Them people was like, nah, y'all not. So this is what unity looks like. And the authorities say, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Check it out. Wait. Let me make sure it's on. Yeah, the police say we ain't got nothing to do with that.
Albania. It's all over the internet. This is what happens in other countries.
Yeah.
When people like Ivanka and Jared decide that they're going to build a luxury resort on what they would consider very important environmental and public lands. This is what the fuck happens. But not here. Not here. We just do what? What are we doing? because we've already proved to our
cost
government that we're not going to start a
shit
revolution,
convenient.
even though they're all pedophiles and they rape children. I'm on public land. I'm going to die. I'm going to die on public land. I'm going to die fighting for water. I'm going to die fighting for land. I'm going to die fighting, making sure you understand that this is how you take down the fucking Death Star. Right here. Right fucking here. Not with your vote.
So that last part was fire. I've been watching this play out for the last, I think, 5 days, man. I just said nothing because initially they had the army and the police protecting Jared Kushner and that property. And people were like, oh, okay. What they did first was they stopped going to work. It's okay. Because the president of the country did a backdoor deal with them. The land was, protected land. Sacred, pristine coastline, the whole nine, protect certain birds and turtles, boom, boom, boom. The president did some backdoor shit. They got wind of it. So when they got wind of it, what they did is they put this big ass gate, like the border wall, right? The people went and tore that down. They brought the police out. They said, oh, you're going to bring our people against us. They stopped going to work and then went back. They've been doing this shit. They chased them out of there. I seen the other day that they caught themselves going over there. I think it was Ivanka, Jared, and their people chased them out of there. Tore up everything, and burned it. They had built this building, man, that you saw getting firebombed. Anyway, the point is they unified. There was unity. Great example, man. Great example of unity right there. And it was no leader per se. It was just that everybody was on the same wavelength. You did? They understood the cause. What's the cause? Why are we doing this? That's where we have to get shit right at, man. That's where we should anyway. All right, let me see if I can run this clip, man. I'm familiar with this guy, Rakufu. Or Professor Bolson ass. Let me find that right quick. I'm going to find this for you right quick, brother. Let me move that. Shut up. And say you for later. Oh, as a matter of fact, hold on. All right. Let me get this one. Nothing. Damn it.
Can I help you?
Okay. Now hold tight. Give me a minute. Give me 1 minute, everybody. Shut up, man. All right. All right, got it. Appreciate your patience. All right, make sure this is the right one, bro. All right, that's it right there. Hey, that's too long, though, bro. I'm going to play a few minutes. All right. Okay, so This courtesy of Rakufu, y'all. Let's see what this is about right quick.
Is a fiction and black is a fiction. But where you are in your society, both are real, which means that you are trapped in a world of fiction. Do you understand me? And the real world is inaccessible to you, even while the real world impacts you. The real world impacts you, but you can never understand what's happening because the real world does not operate according to the rules of your fictional world.
You've never been anything but lied to. You've never been anything but misled and miseducated. You've never been anything but gaslit. You've never been anything but propagandized. So now your minds are full of wrong definitions, wrong categories, wrong metrics, wrong frameworks. You know, the world is in 3D, but you only see 2D or even 1D, you know, black and white. The first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did when he created Adam alayhi salam was to teach him the names of things. Do you understand? Accurate understanding about what is. But your culture, your so-called civilization, erased that for you. So now you yourselves became vessels of ignorance. That's literally what you bring to the world now. That's the only thing that you bring to the world. No matter what your heritage culture was, no matter what your land of origin was, no matter where your ancestors originally came from, even if your ancestors came from the global south, now you yourself actually see your own people. You look at your own people in Africa, in Asia, in so-called Latin America, your own people from the global south, you see them the same way that your Western culture sees them. That ignorant, arrogant, flattened scavenger culture of Europe. And so now you make no sense. You yourself make no sense whatsoever to your own people anymore. Your original people, I'm saying. I said white is a job description, and the job is the maintenance of the social order, that particular social order, and the enforcement and the upholding of that mercenary value system. And in exchange for that, you get that psychological wage, I told you, the psychological salary of having a status within that order. See, look at which so-called whites in America are notorious for being the most blatantly racist in that country and the most buffoonishly patriotic. Why, it's no one but the Italians and the Irish. The Irish and the Italian Americans, they got the status for doing the job, even if they themselves are still stereotyped in the popular culture of America, drunken brawlers and mafiosos. You know, they used to call them inside out N-words. So now they're considered white.
Yeah.
They're considered white because they carry the culture.
Irish people were considered ninjas, and as well Italians. You know, the Garibaldis and all them, you know, but now they're accepted.
Because they defend the system. They enforce and they reinforce the social order and the mythology and the indoctrination.
So is that what Asians gunning towards, to be accepted as white? I don't know. That's crazy.
So what about you? If you come from the people of the global south, if your people come out of the global south, if your heritage is non-European, non-Anglo-Saxon and so forth, if you are the descendants of enslaved Africans, if you're the descendants of dispossessed and displaced Mexicans, or any of the people of Central and South America, of Asia, of the Philippines, India, Middle East, and so forth, and you're out here talking about the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. Bill of Rights, you're talking about democracy and equality and Western values and America the beautiful and whatnot, well, you're nothing but an unpaid white. You're unpaid whites doing the job, but you're not getting the status and you're not going to get the status. You're unpaid whites.
Pinnacle Studio 25 brings you closer to pro.
That looked like a long piece right there, Ra. And never worry, I'm gonna leave it in the toolbar, and we'll get on that tomorrow. I'm gonna call you maybe in the morning and ask you where that party is. Where well, I think he's getting to it anyway in terms of them people and who they think they are and what they can be a part of. You know, why they're so misled, but. Honestly, that goes for the whole of us, you know, including our brothers and sisters. We tend to act the same way. Everybody does. And that's why I said, a little while ago, their work is thorough. You know, that indoctrination, it's some thorough work, man. And again, I'm not talking about it, like I'm romanticizing it or, putting it on the pedestal. I'm just acknowledging them fuckers put it down. You know, I resent it. But it is what it is. Thorough. You know? Excuse me. Yeah, so I got the clips, man. Rat Farah said, man, I keep saying the God has a classroom. We're like hawks raised by chickens. Rakufu said, man, I like that analogy, Fat Rat. Yeah. Salute, James. Where you been, man? Hope. Well, not hope, but peace and prosperity to you, bro. May everything be everything, man. Good to see you up in this get down with us, you know. What we say, better late than never, right? We ain't got but a few more minutes, but that's fine, man. Good to know that you're among us. C1, I got to find out what's up with C1. I got to reach out to that sister. Yeah, I got her in my thing. I'm at, yeah. Fuck, man. I'll read that again. I keep saying the God has a class. I keep saying the God has a classroom. We're like hawks raised by chickens. All right, I see you though, James. Good to see you though. James said, even with brothers and sisters, there's a cultural division. Yeah. Yeah. Farah say, wait, bud, are you saying you believe their technological efforts that are based on ours, but you outright reject our own? They call UFOs. LOL. Well, I have to say, LOL. I haven't read anything from regular brothers and sisters who aren't, you know, religious oriented talking about UFOs. I'm just keep 100 with you. Most people I've heard talk about UFOs or, you know, people who are aligned with certain religions and stuff. You know, now if there's material from someone or people who speak about UFOs and they aren't guided by, you know, religious texts or beliefs and stuff, yeah, I like to check that out. I don't have a problem with it. You know, I really don't, you know, but at the same time, even if that is, I'm not the one that would assign to or, you know, okay, you know, now different talk about UFOs when I haven't even gotten to the point where, hey, man, I understand where the fuck I come from. Well, what was before the Quran? What was before the New Testament, the Old Testament? What was at the time of the Book of the Dead, or, you know, the Egyptian, you know, all that. You know what I mean? I want to get to that. Let me, you know, because let y'all tell it, let people tell it. The UFOs were before that, I imagine, right? So, you know, hey, man, one step at a time, brother. You know, I want to be in the know. I really want to know, first and foremost, how to get to any of that if that exists. You know, I you know, I don't know, man. Hey, I'm just saying, bro. Yeah, LOL. I'm just saying, you know. I'm just saying, you know. So yeah, there that is, bro. And just to clarify, I said their technological efforts only, especially at this juncture, only exist or are viable because of our people. That's what I said. You know, I don't have any faith in them in terms of creating technological shit, you know, or, you know, being really advanced in terms of the science. You know, I trust our people with that because that's where it comes from. You know, the sciences start with us first, you know. So, you know, I put no faith in, you know, their ability to do or create anything without us. I hope that clarifies some or clear up some, you know, some things. You know, I'm just saying. James said, man, they all point fingers at Crips and Bloods in terms of black on black negativity. But the fact is, it's deeper than gangs or American street culture. Look at the world and how it operates. Right. All right, Lisa Holland sending her shouts out. Hey, brother James, good to see you, King. Hope all is well with you and the family. Peace, blessings, and love. Be one black first. All right, Raymond Scott, what it do, loved one? Peace, prosperity to the Raymonds, man, the Rays, your family first and foremost. May everything be everything, man. Like I say, from Pasadena down to Inglewood to LA and beyond. All right. You say tapping in, bub. Trust your day was prosperous. Peace to the RGC. B1 equals black first, everybody. Black first. Black first. You say I'm in the group listening, man. I always appreciate your presence, though, bro. Good to know you're around. James say, me personally, man, I know some of our strongest and most intelligent black leaders are birthed from the very concrete the world despises as black culture, whether it be in the slums of New York or the LA jungle. Right. But again, black culture is what's been determined by everyone else who's not black. That's the biggest slap in the face when it ain't being represented by brothers and sisters who are really from it. Well, yeah, they've commandeered it. They've appropriated it. They make the money off of it. And now, yeah, they give ideas in terms of what could become our culture and shit. Yeah, you know, I see that too. Yeah. You said, man, I'm not focused on who racist and who not racist, bub, in terms of others, Asians and Hispanics. My life isn't long enough to worry about who's down with my people and who isn't. Fuck them all, dog. And I'm saying, man, you know, we really want to do some things, then we got to pick up the reins. We got to ride this horse. We got to ride this horse and into the ground if necessary. If we're going to fucking be whatever they call it, boycotting, blackouting, or whatever on Asians, I'm saying that don't make sense to not to do it to everybody else. You know, that's just all I'm saying. A white cop just killed a 1-year-old boy, man. Mississippi's supposed to be shut down. A black ain't supposed to move, you know, and they want to feel it, though they ought to feel it by the next day. Be like, oh shit. And do a press conference and say, we arrested whoop the whoop whoop. And the chief police, he knew about he fired him, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I'm on, bro. That's what I'm on. Ross said, man, I get what you're saying about every one of them, but let's focus on the focus at hand right now. What is our end game with this first Asian fight? We're doing what we're supposed to do. But what's to say, or who's to say, because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with them, that we can also do that with everybody else? You know, that's the point I was trying to make, you know? And again, yeah, we understand this Cyrus thing. We understand all that. But let's be realistic, man. This happens every day to our people, man, from all of them. You know? So it should be egregious, man, and just unacceptable from all of them. Nothing would stop us from saying, okay, Asians, okay, we gonna stall y'all out now so we can get the crackers. No, man, all y'all. You know, that's all I was saying. And I don't find that losing focus, because the objective is the same. The objective is the same. It's twofold. It's about us catering to us now, spending our dollars with our people now, and at the same time letting those outside of us know that this type of behavior would not be tolerated, accepted any longer. That's it. I don't see how that would fuck with our focus. Our focus is razor sharp. It's laser sharp. We know what the mission is. They don't get a dime. At the same time, it should apply to all those who came before them and after. That's all I was saying. We had the young brother, Carmelo Anthony, after Cyrus. After Carmelo, now we have this little young child, a baby, man. And what the hell? Nobody getting no passes. Nobody should get a fucking pass. That's all I'm saying, man. The same shit we doing with them, the Asians. Hey, man, it's all in the same breath, man. It's all in the same stroll, man. It's all in the same drive. We not, hey, man. What does that do, man? That helps us. That helps those entrepreneurs who are black build their base. They make more money, they can expand. Now blacks who have problems getting jobs because most of the Mexicans are supervisors and foremen, managers, or people can go say, hey, man, I need a job. I'm this, that, and the third, I'm just saying. That doesn't take from our focus. Actually, our focus, all it did was expand it, but it was still on what it's on. I'm just saying. So, yeah, that's what you say, Rakufu. And I hear you, bro, respectfully. I hear you. James said, man, the reality is black is number one. Stand up for your people, the real minority worth fighting for, the kings and queens who laid it all out for this country to be what it is today. And we get no respect, to be what it is today, America. We get no respect. And again, man, this is just learned behavior. All of it is learned behavior. And the ones who initiated this shit, that actually has his fingerprint on all this shit, we're giving them a pass. When in the higher echelons of the city, who runs the city, they get passes. Make that make sense. Why would that make sense with the Asians, but it don't make sense with those who run everything? What the fuck? That's all I'm saying. Subjective shit, and we ought to not be like that. If we gonna give it to them, we gonna give it to every one of them who done this shit, who do this shit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. All right, James say, man, the dollar circulates in the black community less than any other community, and we all know that. Something like 24 hours, if that 6. Whereas other communities, it's ongoing for months and months, at the most 30 days. Everyone else keep their money flowing out of their own people's pockets, regardless of where their earnings come from. Even be it our people, their money is funneled strictly for their own benefit and cause. Here. Facts. Fabrat suggests that he say, look up the word dead, bro. We are dead. All right. You're going to say we are styled in scripture as dry bones, a carcass, blind, deaf, and dumb, the dead. All right. Mercenary value system. Ouch. B60 say, man, what's that? The Goob Show is the YouTube alien channel. Okay. Technology, bro. Technology, period. LOL. A little levity. Homie, I enjoy your podcast. UNRGC. We appreciate you too, bro. Trust. All right. We appreciate you too. Chris say, man, for real, it's tough to go on. For real, it's tough to go on a job and your faith lies on a South American manager. Farrah said, man, we outnumber our oppressors 11-1 globally. No doubt. There are billions of us, I think. Yeah. You're going to say, man, the proof of our death-like state is in our global potential and our disunity in the face of annihilation. Yeah. You're going in like a fat kid on a Snickers. Yeah, man, shit. We have issues, no doubt. And for the most part, it would explain why this predicament persists. But I don't know, man. That's just someone's explanation of dead. I think that I think that, man, let's say even if we are, you said this, there's potential for resurrection. I think that spark is not out per se, so that I wouldn't call it dead. I wouldn't call us dead. I think that spark still exists. It might be just a little bit of a spark, an ember. All right, an ember, but it's there. I don't think the spark is dead. I don't think the ember is out. I don't, So that's why I say what I say. All right, y'all. It's that time, man. You got in late tonight, James. Hey, again, man, peace and prosperity to you and the fam. May everything be everything, bro. It's good for you to come in, man. It's good you did, man. Dropping what you dropped. It's always appreciated. Sending a shout out, man, and putting the atmosphere to C1 is all right. Ain't heard from her in about a week, man. That's our people all the way in Australia, y'all. All the way in Australia, going through the same shit. People trying to find a way. So listen, as always, because I think you can't say this enough. When we love ourselves, man, we will have the capacity and love to love our brothers and sisters, man. When we take care of ourselves like we're supposed to, we're in a position to take care of others as we supposed to. All right. Love yourself so you can love each other. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of that brother or sister who may need your assistance but not know it. All right. That being said, power is in the people, man. That's where the power is at. It's in the people. The power is in the people. You get it? All right. Anyway, that being said, hey, you have been, and you will be under the groove. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. We'll meet up here tomorrow. Peace. Check out the outro.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the borough to the sphere. Where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than Panthers, hats, and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch the applause for polls. Need your data, torch, and counsel, any problem when the wet just wanna build the seats and bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times, plead the markets off the main. Make it on the fans, turn and neck and love the durn. Suffer like a kesha. You went wrong to preaching up on side and seat your lung, bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vets and wonder very inch on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the Bonavir. You wait talking for the Margaret to keep him from the trumpets on the boats to the Sangaland is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break your generosity for the heat and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.